And I used to give them a hard time, the Sikhs a hard time, because I was convinced that they were terrorists. And I would say with the turban, like, are you really a terrorist? What are you going to do? And they were super patient and kind with me. And they would say, no, no, we're Sikhs. It's different. And they would start to explain Sikhism to me. They would start to explain, like, this is not what we are. And then I realized, like, wow, I have a huge ignorance, a huge blind spot to this. And station that's by my house that was owned by Sikhs. And so I now know this, and I would go in and talk with them and hang out and say hi to them. And after 9/11, a man saw the elder, the father, working on his gas station, and he was out planting flowers. And he came up and killed him. And he killed him because he thought he was Muslim. And it was a famous case in America at the time. They caught the guy, and he went to prison. He went to prison for it. And one of the things he said when they were carrying him away is like, "Why are you upset? I killed a Muslim." And I thought, wow, that is really ignorant, because I remember misunderstanding the idea when I saw a turban that this doesn't mean anything. And Sikhs are nothing. Like, they're like complete opposite of what you would think like some kind of radical terrorist would be. You know, they're the complete opposite of it. And we get attacked for being racist towards Muslims, which we're not. My issue is not with Islam. It's with Pakistan government run by the army. That's my issue, right? And why is America, paying for that? I really have an admiration for the Indian Army. I just think it's so, it's like chivalry. It's like olden days of knights when people had honor and code and it mattered. Right. It wasn't just like strap a bomb to the kid and send him in. It's like they would never do that. They would never do that. And this idea of forced conversion can't happen because it's only God who can convert. If you're really hungry and I tell you, listen, I'll feed you and your family, but you have to convert to Christianity, did you really convert at the heart level? Probably not. You're probably really Hindu, like, just go along with it. We're going to get our food and we'll get out of here and whatever.
Namaste and hello, welcome viewers. Today we have a special guest. I'd like to introduce you. He's known as the professor from Movie Community College, a very well-known YouTuber. Professor, welcome to the Indus Lens Show.
What's up? How's it going, buddy? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
You doing good?
Oh, cool. So just to let people know, a lot of you might know him already on YouTube. And we had done, I had known Professor for a bit now, and I think we did a radio show, I guess, 2 years back, couple of radio shows.
Yeah.
And a wonderful person, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
That's nice. And you have a radio show that runs 10 p.m. on darkskyradio.com, the greatest internet radio station in the world, if so people can go there and check it out and get a hold of Sid that way, too. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Let me ask you, I think we talked several times, but I never asked you this question. I'd like to know, how did you started getting involved in India and get attracted to Indian culture? How did it all started?
First of all, I want to start with this. I am a Christian, right? You know that, right?
Okay.
How many times have I tried to force convert you?
None.
People would say that all the time about me, that I'm always trying to force convert Indians. How many times have I done it?
No, I cannot think of any.
Nice. Thank you. I appreciate it. I just want to clear the air on that. So, my interest with India, I think, would start before YouTube. I was transferred from the Chicagoland area to Arizona, and I found myself working in Phoenix. And the department I worked in, there were probably 15 people, and 3 of us were white. There was an older white guy who was, at the time, this is 20 years ago, was probably in his early 60s, a white woman in her 40s, and everybody else was Indian. Okay. And the mix of Indians, they were mostly Sikhs, and I was maybe 26. And I used to give them a hard time, the Sikhs a hard time, because I was convinced that they were terrorists. And I would say with the turban, like, are you really a terrorist? What are you going to do? And they were super patient and kind with me. And they would say, no, no, we're Sikhs. It's different. And they would start to explain Sikhism to me. They would start to explain, like, this is not what we are. And then I realized, like, wow, I have a huge ignorance, a huge blind spot to this. And in these guys, the guys in the group, so it was mostly, I would say probably 3 or 4 Sikhs, 3 or 4 Hindus, and we were all similar in age, and we started hanging out. And we would hang out and go out to eat, and we'd go out and get some beers or watch a movie or something. And they were just really super nice, very super nice. So I always had a fondness from that touch point with Indians, because the group was very, like, if you went up to somebody and just said, because I was young and dumb, hey, are you a terrorist? They may take offense to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They may take offense to it. And they were so loving and nurturing about, helping me understand just a brief touch point of India. Now you fast forward, right? There was a gas station that's by my house that was owned by Sikhs. And so I now know this, and I would go in and talk with them and hang out and say hi to them. And after 9/11, a man saw the elder, the father, working on his gas station, and he was out planting flowers. And he came up and killed him. And he killed him because he thought he was Muslim. And it was a famous case in America at the time. They caught the guy, and he went to prison. He went to prison for it. And one of the things he said when they were carrying him away is, like, why are you upset I killed a Muslim? And I thought, wow, that is really ignorant, because I remember misunderstanding the idea when I saw a turban that this doesn't mean anything. And Sikhs are nothing, like, they're like complete opposite of what you would think like some kind of radical terrorist would be. The complete opposite of it. And so I became closer to the family when this happened, because I felt a sense of, like, I'm really sorry Americans did this to your family. Now, you fast forward a little bit after that, I was helping out at a church, and I knew the family now of the guy who shot the Sikh. They were involved in the church. Now, the father wasn't, but the mom and the children were. And you saw the devastation on their part of, like, what ignorance did for them. They're missing their father. They're missing the husband. It's like ruined their lives, right?
Right.
Not to the same extent that the Sikh family did. And so now you fast forward even further. I decide I'm going to do YouTube. And I'm going to do YouTube. I'm going to try this YouTube thing, and I'm going to do comic books. And I was doing movie trailers about comic books. I was talking about comic books, and I did a reaction video to I think one of the Ip Man trailers. And I got several messages from young Indians in India saying that was kind of funny. You should do reaction videos to Indian trailers. And I said, huh. Is that a thing? Is there such a film industry? I don't know about this. So I started looking at it, and at the time it was, I would say probably the big channels at the time were Jabby. And I don't know if you remember Bolly Fools. Are you familiar with the Bolly Fools?
No.
They had a pretty good following, and they were really funny and clever. And I was just like, okay, how do I do this? And I was making mistakes, and I was, I thought everything was Bollywood. So if I mentioned a Southern Indian film and I called it a Bollywood film, people would get upset. And I did a trailer reaction to Sholay, and there's a scene in Sholay where Amitabh is holding his partner's hand. They're holding hands. And I made a joke about them being gay. And because in American culture, if you saw two men holding hands, that's what you would think. I didn't realize there was that big of a cultural difference. Right. And man, oh man, I got savaged. People in the comments just started kicking my butt, and I said, you know what? I really need to stop and learn. Right? I thought I learned a little bit from the Sikhs, but that was not cutting it, because hey, guess what? India is multicultural. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And so I decided to learn, and I would watch the other reaction channels to see what they're doing, and I noticed the Bali Fools made a decision. They made a decision that they were going to back Pakistani films and Pakistani politics and push that forward and push the narrative. And their channel just disintegrated, completely disintegrated. And I thought to myself, you know what? I have opinions. I have strong opinions. I see something going on in India that I saw in America. The America when you turn on today with George Floyd and the protests and all this stuff going on is not the America I grew up. We were bound together by a unifying idea of God, the founding fathers, the Constitution, love for your mom, apple pie, baseball, these things that drew us together as Americans, that uniquely marked us. And what I started realizing is America has completely lost that because secularism has come in to take that out, that there was nothing holding us together. And then I looked at the Indian culture, and I see the same thing happening to Hinduism. I see secularism coming in and saying, let's break this up. We want this, we want to take the practice away from Hinduism, which means families will disintegrate, which means culture will fall apart. And now we can shape and mold. And so I then find myself in this this strange position of being a guy who does movie trailer reactions, but I really don't like a lot of the product because I see it as anti-Hindu, and I think that there's a fight to be had there. Let's save the Hindustan culture and not let it happen to what happened to America.
Right. Okay.
I'm sorry for the long answer.
Oh, no problem. No problem. That's a good, very well explained answer. My other question is related to that when you talked about Hinduism, and you talked about secularism getting into. I definitely see in the U.S. that had definitely happened, how the culture, the youth is especially brainwashed by, far left and stuff like that. I'd like to ask, like, what was the thing that, made you interested in Hinduism? I see you do a lot of, learning in Hinduism, and, you watch Ramayana, then I think and a lot of stuff. So what made you interested in those stuff?
Here's something I don't understand before I answer your question. So Ravana's brother that Ram says he's going to make king, right? He's going to make him king. Everybody hates him and they call him a traitor, and he left the bad side to go to the good side, and everybody says he's a traitor.
Right. But yeah, that's how
what he's going to the good side.
Yeah, but they didn't used to think Rama is a good person because it was there was Ravan's enemy, and so for them he betrayed the king and his own brother.
Now to answer your question, why Hinduism? Because one of the things that comes up is my Christian faith in emails I will get from young Indian folks, and I think to have a conversation about it, I need to know as much as I can about Hinduism, and because one of the things that started coming up was this idea of forced conversion in India, and I started looking into it, which then made me start looking into Hinduism. And one of I think the unfortunate things that the average young Indian dude thinks about Christianity in India is this false conversion. It is really a practice of Catholicism, which, if you asked a Catholic, they would tell you they were Christian. But I don't see them as Christian, and I tried to make the point to when I thought Islam and Sikhism was the same. It's not. It's completely different. The sect of Christianity that I follow is completely different to Catholicism, and this idea of forced conversion can't happen because it's only God who can convert. If you're really hungry and I tell you, listen, I'll feed you and your family, but you have to convert to Christianity, did you really convert at the heart level? Probably not. You're probably really Hindu, like, just go along with it. We're going to get our food and we'll get out of here and whatever. So, as I was learning so I could defend Christianity, the wrong version of Christianity to India, to Hindus, it became a natural way of learning about Hinduism, and I find it completely fascinating. And sometimes I get in trouble because I refer to it. I refer to Ramayana. I refer to it as just great storytelling, and people will get really, really upset. That's our history. You shouldn't say that. And I'm not disputing whether it's your history or not. I'm just saying from the mechanism of watching this. I mean, when you watch the old Ramayana, there's nothing like CGI wise, there's nothing production wise that you're like, that's amazing. This thing has me riveted just on the story, following the story of Ram. I think Ram was a real person. I think that he did the things that he did. He traveled around, and I see commonalities between the sect of Christianity I follow and the things that are being taught in Ramayana. Now, I can't say so much for Mahabharata because I haven't really fully watched that all the way through. I've started and I've stopped just because, Mahabharata, they change position. Like you're looking right here. Okay, we got this family here, and then you jump over here, and then I get confused and I got to take notes. And so I thought I need to finish Ramayana first, and then do Mahabharata, and then I can devote my whole attention. Does that answer your question, or did I just?
Yeah, definitely. So when you brought up about conversions of Christianity, and we see there are not one or two, but hundreds and hundreds of organizations who are getting funded from US. There are people and churches getting funded from US, and what they are trying to do is, I come from a Christian school, and I know a lot more about Christianity than an average Indian, I would say. Not to brag, but I do. So my question is, when they do, because when we learn, even before the conversion part, the type of the image of Christianity in certain parts. If you go to Mumbai, like certain parts, it's completely different. It's considered like just cool and hip culture. They are mostly Catholics. The cool and hip culture, which personally I believe they do not even really follow probably certain rules of Christianity, right? So had you heard about that thing ever, and what are your point of views on that?
Yeah, I would agree with it. I think one of the things, and also too, I'm going to mention Christianity in your question here, but as Catholicism, and I'm going to also mention too Hinduism.
Okay.
In your answering your question here, one of the things I started noticing as I started studying Hinduism, you go back and you watch the old Indian films. Mm-hmm. Hinduism's everywhere. You would see and I didn't realize when I would first start watching an old Amitabh Bachchan film, and you would see at the temple, and all of a sudden the bells are ringing, and there's like, is it just windy? No, prayers are being answered, right? And so now I also have it gives me a great context to understand movies better. Like I watch movies now, I'm like, oh, that's a reference to Hanuman. I go back and watch Dangal and say, why didn't they reference Hanuman at all? This dude is wrestling in India. That would be a great piece of the story and history and culture, and they just ignore it. And that makes me also think, too, when you look at the old Indian films, how much Hinduism is tied up in the film. Like in America, it would be the equivalent of watching Die Hard, and before John McClane blows somebody up, he stops and takes a knee and says, "For your glory, Lord Jesus," and then he moves on. People in America would lose their minds. Like, I can't believe he said that. It's kind of terrible. Right. The other thing I would say now, back to Christianity, but I mean that of Catholicism, is you see in the old films, SRK kind of made it popular, where you would see him play a Catholic, or he would have a Catholic name, and it was associated with, he has a Harley Davidson motorcycle, he's in blue jeans. So you can tell that there was that they were using Christianity as a tool to try to make it appealing, like rebel against the Hindu culture, become a Christian and wear blue jeans and smoke Marlboros and listen to rock music.
And also is the concept, like, it it's very widely believed. I mean, even I don't know about, I cannot say much about other cities, but at least in Mumbai, because we are so close to Goa, so we have a very big population of Goan Catholics over there, and and they are looked as like they, we were made to feel. I'm not saying it was preached to us, but we are made to feel like in Christianity everything is cool, like drinking is cool, having sex before marriage is cool, before wedding is cool, all this kind of thing, like the image. But as and when I read about Christianity or came to know about it, is completely like, it was completely opposite of it.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
That's completely opposite. Yes, it's
Yeah,
completely
and
opposite.
also, by recently, what we do at Indus Lens, we look into a lot of organizations. We came across a lot of people. Like we went to Kerala and a couple other places. Kerala is a very big hub of missionaries conversion. A lot of other places. What they are doing is they are going into, for example, I'll tell you, in Punjab is infested with drug problem. You know that, right?
Yeah,
And
Buddha Punjab, fly high.
yeah. So in Punjab, what they're doing is they are starting this free or subsidized rehab centers for drug addicts to come in, and then they're converting over there.
Mm.
And what they're doing is like, for example, we saw a bunch of orphanage homes run by missionaries in Kerala, and then they are like, from their childhood they are teaching the kids about Christianity, converting them regardless where they come from, even if they know or do not know, doesn't matter. So then obviously rise back concept, you obviously know about that. Like people, they give money or food for the people in need, but they want them to convert. They did in several locations. Even in Nepal earthquake, the massive earthquake, we had reports of them doing that. So what is your point of view on this kind of conversion and Christians, if they call themselves Christians?
Well, I think that again, I think conversion is of the heart, and I think that if you believe in Dharma and you follow the path of Dharma, it's going to lead you to where it wants to lead you. And I think that I know a lot of people that would self-identify as the same sect of Christianity that I am, and they tend to be in like Assam and Nagaland, and we get messages from them.
Yeah.
And I try to encourage them, as best I can. But if it's a true movement of the heart, it's going to be a true movement of the heart, and there's no way that you can really force it in. I mean, because if the Dharma is calling you to pursue something, to be your best self, and it takes that path, then so be it, I guess, would be my approach to it. I I support a missionary, and people will get upset sometimes when they hear that. I support a missionary, and he's not in India. He is actually in Malaysia, and he is doing medical work. He goes into areas where they don't have doctors, and he helicopters them, the sick, to hospitals, and I support him, and I help him as I can, because I see him as a providing a great humanitarian need, and whatever comes out of that need, he's of the same sect as I am, so there's not a like, before we get onto the helicopter, Sid, I know you need surgery right now, but before I fly you, this needs to take place. It's not that at all. He's hoping through good action, through the law of Dharma, his good action will lead maybe to a conversation. And if the conversation happens, great. If it doesn't, well, he just keeps going, because the sect of Christianity I am is you're trying to be obedient to the Lord. You're trying to carry out what He wants for you, and you don't need artificial things. Like I don't need to set up an orphanage to help the poor and make sure my Christianity is at the centerpiece of it. Just go help the poor. You know what I mean? You just don't need it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think too, when you look at the spread of Christianity, there was a period of time, especially, in the Middle Ages, where you get into, like the Crusades and whatnot, and it's not at all. It's not at all like what Jesus really did and taught. You even saw it too. You saw with Jesus, because he taught a lot in parables. He taught in parables, so he was trying to conceal the meaning of what he was saying.
Yeah.
And the reason he was doing that is because the message wasn't for everybody. He was never putting out a message of like, you need to convert. It was kind of a soul calling that you just responded to. You're like, wait a minute, that's what it is.
Sorry to just interrupt, but that reminds me, when you said about your friend and helping people. And we had come across several people who are doing. I don't know your friend, so I don't know what he does and what he believes. I really don't know. But what we had come across several hospitals run by missionaries where they're converting the sick and dying, and this is what we do not want. We do not like.
Right, sure, sure. I agree.
As I said about the rehab centers, these people are already struggling with drug problem, and these people are converting them. People are struck in hurricane and earthquake. You're converting them. You're fooling people. I will send you some pictures how they worship Jesus. It's completely a dharmic tradition how they are doing. I had never seen in my whole life, being around Christians in my life, I had never seen people worshiping. They are just stealing our culture, our religion, certain traditions. They are doing that, and they are just making it, now only your only savior is, that is the thing, the being sneaky and being, fooling people or doing it by the wrong means. That is the problem is. So do you think that is correct? That is the right way to do it?
No, not at all. Not at all. Like if I don't think that's the right means. I think like if I were to live in India and people, get to know who I am and get to know that I'm on YouTube and get to know that I'm Christian, there are conversations that would come up, some conversations where people would ask genuine questions, and you answer the genuine questions, and then it becomes then, a matter of the heart,
Definitely. I mean, talking is not a big thing. I remember you always asked me questions about several Hinduism.
Sure.
Yeah. So no, I just wanted your point of view. Because,
right. And I appreciate you asking, because a lot of times people get the wrong idea.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that's the reason I want people to, know, like, not everyone is the same. That's basically, and there are good and bad people everywhere.
Sure.
So let's change the topic a little bit.
Okay.
And you are known to be a big time supporter of Indian military.
I am.
How does it start, and why do you support Indian military?
Well, I think it, to me, as an outsider looking in, and especially, I got to tell you how much Ramayana, and I know I'm saying it wrong right now, and anyways, but you look at that, you look at how the war is going between the demons and Ram and his army, right? There's a code of conduct that they're doing, right? I mean, like, Dharma's really serious on what they're doing. Like, you're making these decisions, and you still see that reflective in the Indian army. You don't see India is in a bad neighborhood. Not that India is bad, but the neighbors are terrible. Like, you got the worst neighbors ever. Like, if the neighbors lived next to you, if you had the neighbors living next to you, you'd be like talking to your wife, we gotta move, man. These people suck. And you don't see India. Like, I guarantee you, if Mexico was as bad as the neighbors to the west, we would invade. We would just move in. We would, and you don't see, India is so restrained, and I find that completely fascinating in an era where everybody is trying to iron fist it. And I also think, too, from my reading of the Bible and Bible prophecy, they talk about the kings of the East that rise up and kind of take on Asia and the Antichrist. And I think it's India. When I was a kid, I was always taught it was China. But China's just such a joke. I don't. They move their military by trains. So what would you do if India went to war with China? What would they do? Go bomb the trains. Guess what? It's a long walk back. And you just see this. There's a nobility to India that you don't see in the world of restraint. I put up a video, and it's got like no, it's not that video. There's a video I just put up, and it's a conflict that happened between India and China over the border dispute. And the Chinese start throwing rocks.
Oh yeah, recently, yeah.
And one of their own soldiers get hurt.
Yeah.
He got hurt. There's an Indian who is putting his shield down to cover his body, the Chinese body, and he's getting hit with rocks. And he's trying to tell his soldier buddies, no, not him. We got to protect him. We got to keep him safe. That's just, that's just so unheard of. It's like chivalry. It's like, it's like if you're a barbarian, you come across somebody with manners for the first time. You're like, what is that? Is so different. So I find it completely refreshing how the military is. And the military films like Uri was just so good when you see how they did it and you see how advanced that they are. Because I think the misconception is, in the West, is India is all Hindu and pacifist and they're not going to do anything. Look at Gandhi. He ain't going to do nothing. India ain't going to do, but you can do stuff. You have skills. And there's a reason why China, they back down all the time. Okay, China took Tibet, great. Dalai Lama, does he have, Marcos? No, it's a bunch of monks. It's just like a bunch. They pick on the weak and they pick on the weak, and it's so ridiculous. So yeah. I really have an admiration for the Indian Army. I just think it's so it's like chivalry. It's like olden days of knights when people had honor and code and it mattered. Right. It wasn't just like strap a bomb to the kid and send him in. It's like they would never do that. They would never do that.
Right. And just to add to your point, it's also if you look in Kashmir, like how they are like attacked, they are carrying AK-47s and they are attacked with like stones and try to do that with Chinese army and see the reply, or Pakistani army for that matter, and see their reply.
Yeah.
They won't talk. There would be a bullet.
Right.
Yeah, but also related to that, you openly support like Indian Army and you support certain side of Indian politics, and you also support Hindus in issues and India on international issues. You do it openly. It's not like you call me and talk to me on the phone, but you go out and do it on social media, and you have a very big following. So are you, there are two questions related to it. A, are you not worried because you might lose your followers or subscribers, because that's an important thing? And second thing, do you get attacked and like online attack and troll for what you do?
So the first point is, I think if I didn't have this position that I do, the channel would be much bigger. We have...
Yeah, I agree.
Over 200,000 subscribers, and I'm going to say, in all honesty, we've probably lost 200,000 subscribers because people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it, and I think it's because when you look at the genre of reaction videos, it's going for a young movie lover audience. They tend to be liberal. They tend not to understand really the reality of that they're living in, and it's not till they get older. I listened to Major give a talk about how when he was young, he was pretty liberal and whatnot, but you get into life, you see how life works. It kind of moves you to be conservative a little bit, moves you a little bit more to the right. And so yeah, there's been a price to pay. A lot of, there's a lot of reaction channels because I want to collaborate with people. I want to work with people. And then, you start talking to somebody, and it may be a channel that is way smaller. And they're shocked at just like how overt I am. And then they don't want to do anything because they're afraid that it's going to it's going to affect their stuff. And I don't know. I think right is right. You make a stand, right is right. And you make the stand and you do it. And what it is what it is. Yeah, we get. I think we probably we do get attacked a lot about our views of stuff, and we get attacked for we get attacked for being Christians, and we get attacked for being racist towards Muslims, which we're not. My issue is not with Islam; it's with Pakistan government run by the army. That's my issue, right? And why is America, paying for that?
Right, exactly.
But we, what we get attacked more for, Tish, my wife, she she watched a film with me, and it was what was it? Was it Kabali? It was with Rajnikanth, right?
Who?
You know Rajnikanth?
Yeah.
Rajnikanth, Southern Indian film star.
Oh, okay.
And she said, I don't think he's a good actor. And she said that in the video, and we got more hate about that, like how dare you say that? And it's like, I don't know. So I don't really. I'm also kind of driven, I think, for conflict. I enjoy conflict, and so when I think I probably would be a revolutionary if we were going to go back in time. Like I would have been like in America, I would have been like, hell yeah, let's throw that tea. EIC, let's throw their tea in the harbor. If I would have been Indian back in the day, I would have been like, yeah, you know what? Let's catch them as they come off the boat. We'll take care of them. I think that's just my nature. I like the fight. I like the gist of it.
Right. Okay. So you said so do you like you said you could have been a lot bigger channel, because I see a lot of the channels who on purpose like keep their mouth shut when even if it comes to issues, very important issues, they don't want to talk because they are scared of they might lose subscriber and whatnot. So as you said, you could be bigger than what you are. Do you regret the decision of supporting Hindus in India and BJP or Modi government for that matter?
No, because I think ultimately what I started to realize is that this is a marathon, not a sprint, and we're really not reactors, we're commentators. And so what if you watch our channel, you're not watching for me to give a stupid reactions face, right? You want to hear what I got to say about the issue. And no, I'm fine with that. I mean, it is what it is. I don't see that's the problem. I think when you look at America, is how often Americans sell their soul for what is quick and easy right in front of them. I mean, it's just I don't know. Maybe I'm just old fashioned. And I my views about the BJP is really because that's how I am as an American. If you were to make me Indian, I would be pretty conservative. I would be really traditional, and I would probably be far right, where people are just like, whoa, wait a minute, and not far right like because sometimes that gets a bad rap. Like my views in American politics is I'm far right, like the government shouldn't be doing everything that it's doing. I'm more in line with the founders. Like it's like give us general safety and that's about it. We don't need programs. We don't need all that stuff because that tears at the fabric of the society.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was great talking to you, and thank you very much for your time. And we'll catch up soon.
Yeah, I hope you don't get any hate mail over this, because a lot of people when they have me on, then they're like, "Oh, I lost a bunch of subscribers." So I hope none of that happens to you.
The work we do is we don't call ourselves what you call it.
Yeah. Sure.
We don't call ourselves a balanced journalist or someone. I do what I do, and I fight for things. So
nice. All right. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Much.